and welcome to Trelkas Way. That means that our police chief, now with the also known as Director of Safety Services, which takes in our fire department. Do I have that right?
Yes, ma'am. Fire and paramedics.
Fire and paramedics. Okay. I want to talk a little bit, want you to talk a little bit today about paramedics.
Okay.
We don't cover that too often, but
No.
they're so very, very important.
They are.
Yeah,
There's
to
some
our
issues
safety.
I want to put out there about our paramedics.
Okay, very good. Well, off the top, let's do the thing that everybody else is trying to find some sense to make of the Trayvon Martin death.
Yes.
And people are reaching out in every direction that you can think of across this nation, individually, in groups, and I notice especially young people are involved. What is driving all of this seems to be like a sense of, well, to say unfair would put it mildly, but if people have been keeping up with this whole situation, there is still a lot of unrest. I'm kind of glad to see the demonstrations because at least people can get some of this off their chest.
Yes.
So I want to know, of course, the question for me to you is, I know you're a big gun advocate.
I am, yes, yes.
The law, and what have they named that law?
Stand your ground law.
Stand your ground law.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, just saying that gives you, it seems to me, puts out a sense of it's okay.
Right. It almost gives permission for
Permission.
actions that, it legalizes actions that actually I have an issue with. Yes, I'm, more than anything, I think everybody knows that I honor and love that Constitution and our constitutional rights. There have been a lot of demonstrations in regard to this issue, rallies, and when I see that, I love it because there are your First Amendment rights in action. Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. The Second Amendment involves gun right issues. And yes, I'm a big gun rights advocate, but when it needs to be sensible. I am not an advocate of stand your ground. Because any time a life is lost, that's a tragedy. And I believe that a citizen, if they have the ability to escape when it comes to self-defense issues, they should take advantage of that. Because the bottom line is, the end result is death is bad. Death is, when any life is lost and it's not taken naturally, that's a tragedy.
Yes, it is.
So, and you know, we are watching this situation very carefully because we want to learn from it. What's interesting about the whole dynamics of all this and other incidents that have popped up in the past is the media is so fast. And they want to talk to somebody. They want to get that story out there. And I'd love to actually see the facts, the meat and potatoes of this case. Because it seems like we're not getting all of it yet. But those facts are slowly coming out through the media. But one media outlet's trying to beat the other and get the story out there.
Yeah.
And let's face it, some media outlets are slanted one way. And because
that's true.
Usually what I'll do is to get my news, I will go to CNN first. And then I will immediately go to Fox, so I can
So you can see
get
with a wide disparity.
I may even go to BBC, and I've even gone on Al Jazeera to see what their take is on stuff.
And where is that located on?
That comes out of the Middle East, but they have a United States office, and it's interesting to read the different perspectives on these issues we're facing in this country.
Absolutely.
I like to, the way I like to refer it to is when we read about the crucifixion of Christ in the New Testament, there are 3 or 4 different versions. But when we read those 3 or 4, we get the complete story.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like a lot of other people are waiting. Some people less impatiently than others, but they are waiting if there are other facts to come out in this case, and if there is an arrest to be made or whatever. I think people just want to know what are all the facts.
Right.
And I personally, Chief, I wonder about what evidence might have been destroyed on the night that this actually happened. You may never find, evidence. Who knows?
Right.
Or maybe there is.
Right.
Maybe there is, on the other hand. But we'll have to wait and see, like everybody else, what what is going on, but more than that, I wonder how many people realize that in Iowa, that bill was trying to be passed, stand your ground, and that's a little scary. That whole thing is scary to me.
Yes, and I do not support stand your ground legislation. I believe in people having an avenue of escape, and if they have that avenue of escape, they should take advantage of it. And that's simply because I hate to see any human life taken tragically.
All right, and as we move on, what is happening right here in our local police department? We've got some do's and don'ts as far as the public is concerned. I'm talking now about the texting
and driving.
The more technology that just rolls in every day changes as we speak.
It does.
Now, texting is really a big thing, because you do have to look down. You have to look down to do that, so how can you do that and be driving safely?
Right, and it's amazing how many, as a matter of fact, I was just on Tuesday morning, my wife was driving me into work, or we were in my car, I was driving her so she could take the car back home, and I look in my rearview mirror and I saw a young lady coming up behind me, and she kept glancing down toward her lap. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to slow down and see what this woman is doing. And I slowed down, the woman pulls up alongside of us. She's texting while she's driving, which is a violation of Iowa law. However, it's a secondary violation, so police officers can't pull somebody over for it. They have to have another reason to pull them over to enforce it. So I thought, well, I've got her license plate number, I've got the car description, I'm going to send her a letter. And then I thought about it, and I said, well, that would be a great quality of life initiative for us to take for the month of April. And I want to involve the firefighters and paramedics. So I sent an email out to all of them and said, listen, whether you're on duty or off duty, if you see this, if you want to get involved, pay attention, watch for people doing this, send me a description of the vehicle, send me the plate number, and I will send them a letter advising them that this is wrong, that this is illegal. Because distracted driving is one of the things that's killing people in our country when it comes to car crashes. Too many people are distracted. Texting while driving is one of these distractions. And we're responding to, we're sending our firefighters, paramedics, police officers, in all likelihood, to far too many accidents caused by someone who's texting while driving. So we want to take this soft enforcement approach where I'll send them a letter making the registered owner aware of this activity, because it's likely one of their children. Likely, I say, because even I text, but I don't while I'm driving. I have 3 teenage kids, so that's a good way for me to communicate them, whether in class or their practices and such. But I'll send the registered owner a letter, and they can address it and try to modify this behavior.
So there's nothing, I mean, there's nothing that you're saying you can't arrest a person for that?
Right. Well, if, let's say a police officer sees it actually occurring, we can't stop somebody for it.
Okay.
We have to, let's say they run their plate and realize their plate is expired. Then we can stop them for that.
Okay.
But it's a secondary offense, so we can't infringe upon somebody's constitutional rights. We can't restrict their freedom of rights simply by, or the right of freedom, simply by texting.
I wonder how much we're going to attribute to deaths because of texting, and if there is a wreck, how would you know that person?
Well, and it almost becomes a science. I mean, you can check their cell phone records, but it's tough. I mean, what if that crash happened at 12:30 and they were sending a text at 12:29? It's hard to get the exact correlation. You can say, well, gee, I suspect that this is the reason, but it's tough to identify it exactly.
And as far as technology goes, Chief Trelka, how are police departments expected to keep up? There's so much technology. Even as we speak, I bet you any moment something is being worked on right now.
Yes.
And so not only is it good for everybody, is the technology good for everybody? I guess texting is a great thing because everybody is doing it. But do we think beyond that to causing accidents, hurting ourselves, hurting other people? People don't want to pull over to the side to use their phone or to text. You know, it's just easier. It's easier. But you can just tell if someone is driving along and they keep looking down, something is going on, and it means your eye is not on the road.
Well, I hope we get to a point with our technology where maybe our phones will not allow us to receive or send text because the vehicle's in motion,
Because
utilizing
it's in
GPS or
motion.
something.
Ah.
So technology is good and it's bad. I mean, when you look in a police car today, it looks like the cockpit of an airplane.
I was going to
There's
ask
so
you to
much
just
technology in
to
there.
describe that. What's in a typical car these days?
There are cameras, there's a computer, there's the radio, there are weapons in there and apparatus that hold the weapons. It's amazing. I mean, I've only been a cop for about 22 years, and it was
Only?
simply a radio and a toggle switch.
Yeah.
Now,
Isn't that
and what's
amazing?
funny is when I get in a squad car today, I look at it and I don't know how to operate half the stuff.
Well, I guess not, but the policemen who have to have this training and so forth, I wonder if sometimes they are not feeling overwhelmed with the technology, as good as it is. You know, you've got to know how to do
Yeah.
all that stuff and run. You know, it just seems like there's a lot going on
Well,
for them to deal with.
I think the people who are becoming police officers later in their life, let's say we hire an officer who's currently 30 to 35, when they look at it, it may be overwhelming for them, but with the younger generation, they grew up with it.
Yeah, they don't know any different.
No, they don't
Yeah,
know what a
so,
VCR
yeah.
tape is or anything anymore,
Good
or a
Lord.
record.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Nylon record.
Okay, well, what are you looking at this time of year? This spring is coming. We're hoping that we're going to have a decent summer.
Yes, I think we will. The one thing the firefighters and paramedics wanted me to mention is with the traffic volumes are going to increase now with summer, and so that means more traffic crashes. And they wanted me to let the motoring public know that when that emergency vehicle gets behind you with its lights and or siren going, pull to the right.
Okay.
You know, there may be very, very rare circumstances where you'll have to pull to the left, but the majority of the time, 99.9% of the time, we want you to pull to the right, because that's the law, that's how you're trained in driver's ed, so they wanted me to cover that with people.
All right, very
And,
good.
and again, only call 911 if you feel it's an emergency. We still have people who will call 911 if they have a stomach ache. Now, it has to be a pretty bad stomach ache to call
Yeah.
911. So, because somebody, try to find somebody to drive you to the hospital or take a cab for a stomach ache or something like that. Only utilize that 911 for emergencies.
Right.
We're
Like
still
someone
seeing
you think is having a heart attack or.
Yeah, because people will actually call 911 for stomach ache is the greatest example, and they'll say,
I
"Can you
can't
just come
believe it."
check me out?" Well, we're not nurses and
That's-
doctors. Yeah,
Right.
you need to be checked out at the hospital and try to get there yourself unless it's an emergency,
Okay.
or go to urgent care. There's plenty of options available for us when we need it.
Okay. There's going to be some different traffic patterns, or I guess I'm asking, with handling Highway 63. I understand that I was talking to the mayor, and he was saying it's going to take probably 2 seasons to get this work done. So that's going to add to the problem of how you
Yeah.
get around in
Yeah.
Waterloo.
I think our biggest issue in the area is the reconstruction of I-380. There's going to be some work on 63, but I-380 with the heavier traffic volume, and it's all going to be outside the city limits of Waterloo, but just barely. So it's going to impact us. Just east of the river, they're going to shut down I-380 to 2 lanes.
Okay.
And traffic is going to go, traffic is going to go head to head around April 20th for the entire summer, because they're going to resurface the south, or the, well, they call them the southbound lanes, but in our area, they're running east and west. So where traffic typically is going east on 380.
So
It's
will
gonna be
this
closed.
involve going past Allen and Hy-Vee and the cemetery? Is that the way they're going?
Yeah, there's going to be some work there, I believe,
There.
this summer, but I'm more concerned about that I-380 rework on the south, as it goes through Evansdale.
Through Evansdale?
And that's going to
Okay.
cause problems. And that's going to force, as a matter of fact, you may see heavier traffic on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, especially
Oh.
truck traffic, because they will try to avoid that construction.
Okay.
And they will come through downtown, either east or west through downtown. So
Is that allowed though?
they are allowed to use Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and a couple of the avenues downtown, I believe 5th and 6th.
Okay, they're not gonna do anything with Newell Street?
No, no.
That's good.